Thank you, Mark, and a big hello from London. Over the last few weeks here, I've pointed out how there were very limited and very few weekly technical patterns on which to share an opinion. Well, not so last week, as we had a host of weekly key reversals, plus a few monthly key reversals for January. I'll start with the monthly patterns. We had a monthly key reversal up in euro against the Hungarian forint, which has seen a follow-on higher ever since. French CAC40 stock index futures likewise had a monthly key reversal up, though this one has had a more muted move higher since. The Baltic Clean Tanker Index, the only shipping index to have a monthly pattern, well, that also had a monthly key reversal up. However, it seems to have been a more lagging indicator, as prices had peaked in mid to late January, and we seem to be heading lower. Then, the start of monthly key reversals for January. We had a monthly key reversals up for both New York and London cocoa futures. In New York futures, prices shot up and out of the mid-August to mid-September 2023 bullish Andrews pitchfork, highlighted in dark blue on my daily chart. Now, this turns the spotlight onto the early October 2023 to early January 2024 action as a possible leg up, then a hesitation before the recent second leg up in a large bullish halfway hesitation. This also ties in with the London contract. We've seen a similar large bullish halfway hesitation, with the second leg up in January and now also in February. The only difference is the absence of a more recent bullish Andrews pitchfork. Then there is the only monthly key reversal down I have in the markets I cover, and that was in the ICE EUA carbon futures for December 2024. Here we have seen a monthly key reversal down in January, but no real follow-on lower, nor a reactionary counter upwards. We're just stable at the moment. Okay, so that covers the monthly actions. Let's now look at the weekly actions, and I'll start with the currencies. We had weekly key reversals down in Aussie dollar against the US dollar and the Kiwi dollar against the US dollar, plus weekly key reversals up in US dollar Norwegian krona and US dollar Singapore dollar. All these had some things in common. They were not main currency pairs, in some cases even minor currency pairs. They were all dollar positive, and they were all, in one form or another, commodity related currencies. Additionally, they all had this week initially some good follow-on higher for the dollar, but now have run into resistances, and that have turned back down the dollar bullishness. There was one other, a cross-currency pair, that had a weekly key reversal, and that was a weekly key reversal down in the euro against the Romanian lei. This had an immediate reactionary move back up this week, though prices are still within last week's range. Next, there were the stock index and stock index futures, and we had quite a few here. We had a weekly key reversal up in the E-mini S&P futures last week. This is right at the top of the market, and initially we had a reactionary pullback lower this week, but the market has started to build on that pullback, and we've seen further attempts higher and maybe even a new all-time high soon. This was also the case in the NASDAQ Composite Index, where we are also seeing a potential build-up for a further attempt at new all-time highs. Finally, this also happened in the NASDAQ 100 stock index, though to be honest, here it looks a little more susceptible than in the previous two. Now, over to the commodities, and we had a clean sweep of all the main NYMEX energy contracts. We had a weekly key reversal down in NYMEX RBOB futures. We had a weekly key reversal down in NYMEX heating oil futures. And finally, a weekly key reversal down in NYMEX WTI crude oil futures. Last week, without exception, there has been no follow-through lower this week in any of them, and to varying degrees a pullback up, though it is still well within last week's range. This has also been the case with ICE Brent crude oil futures here in the UK, though there was no such action for the ICE gas oil contract. Personally, I think the pullback up in Brent has been of a more limited nature, but that's a personal opinion. Next we have the metals, and here there was only one, and it's an obtuse one that's seemingly rarely traded, though there has been enough action last week to say there was a weekly key reversal down in COMEX Cobalt futures last week. This week, well, nothing so far, nothing. The final commodity is also an obtuse one and rarely traded. There was a weekly key reversal down in EEX butter futures, and all I can add to that is there is some really interesting and somewhat wild volatility there, with prices reacting immediately higher this week to such an extent that we are on course for an immediate countering weekly key reversal up. This is an interesting one to watch. Okay, so the very last one, that was in the shipping index. Last week we saw a weekly key reversal down in the Baltic Handymax index, if only just. This has seen a small follow-on lower this week and continues a move lower that started back in mid-December last year, only hesitating during the middle to end of January. As always, I'm happy to answer any direct questions with anyone who's interested. And with that, I'll finish this section from London, and I hope that you found these comments useful.
Thank you for listening. This weekly broadcast gives the essential market patterns and consequences. Please be aware of the risk disclaimer posted both at the front and at the back of this broadcast. Copyright is Eddie Topic and ADM Investor Service International Limited. And here comes the final important bit.